everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
It's time for Primetime Crisis. Today, we're going to talk about Castlevania Season 2, and I also have a request to tack on at the end of this. So let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? Castlevania has been Eric's most anticipated thing of the year, because he really likes Castlevania.
I do.
And Warren Ellis, and that first season was pretty darn good.
I mean, it's not just a Castlevania thing. I mean, I like Castlevania a lot. It's one of the video games, like it in Final Fantasy, and like I guess Metal Gear Solid, like.
You have your couple of franchises.
Yeah, it's part of it, and I'm not
you're
like
not a video game person.
Yeah, but like there are things that I noticed in the show where I'm like, that's from the video game, that's from the video game, and look, hey, look, there's that thing, and skeleton, skeleton dragon heads from the wall, like there they are, and so I got to have that experience, which was really fun, but it's also it's a lot of it's the flavor. I don't get things like this.
Yeah. And serious animation in America, and I mean, like, it's very anime-esque, but it's made here.
I'm all about the gothic, like, monster fighting.
Right.
I love that. It's very in line with Vampire D, which I adore. So, like, this is just, it's very much my thing.
And I don't immediately gravitate towards stuff
and there's not a lot of other stuff like it right now.
That's right, but once I'm there, like, man, the ambiance of this just gets me.
Mm-hmm. You might like the second Vampire D movie. It's a lot like this, but on like an even bigger budget.
Okay,
it's a movie.
Cool.
But yeah, it's a thing I don't get a lot of. It's kind of like Cyberpunk, although Cyberpunk's kind of coming back.
It's coming back a little bit.
But like it's one of those things where I'm like, it's a thing I really like that I don't get enough of. You know, I've rewatched both Vampire D movies a lot, and then Hellsing and things like
there's
that.
There's clearly a thirst for it because. Like, people could not stop talking about that first season. I'm seeing a lot about this. Like,
I think it also helps that
it's very popular.
I think it's not just the gothic thing with the Castlevania. I think it's also finally good video game something.
Something, yeah, that's right.
I think people are excited in some ways just for that.
And of course, it's not going to change that reputation because it's animated in television.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we've had okay stuff based on video games made in Japan. We just haven't done it here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, everyone loves the Street Fighter 2 animated movie, which is called Street Fighter 2, which I think is funny.
That is funny.
But yeah, so this is picking up where last season left off, kind of.
Which felt right in the middle of everything. Like, these 12 episodes feel like a season to me.
Yeah, and so I went and I looked at some stuff that Warren Ellis submitted some interviews. I actually reread some of the interviews from last year. He hasn't really done much yet for this season. But last year he said he'd already written this, and he's like they're saying it's season 1, season 2. I kind of view it as more like season 1 part 1, season 1 part 2.
Yeah.
But so like when season 1 dropped, this was already written, which is interesting because they didn't know they were getting a second season.
Well, part of the reason I say that is this has resolution. It's setting up a lot for a second season, but it has resolution.
Mm-hmm.
It
Which
feels
the first
like
one does not.
No, it feels like one season.
No, and
that didn't feel like a cliffhanger. But we like finish off. It ends in the middle of everything. Like, it feels like a real arbitrary ending if it's supposed to be an ending.
And there's actually been people that I've met that I recommended. Like, I'd forgotten this. There's a newer guy at work who was like, I haven't watched Castlevania. I was like, well, don't watch it. Wait like 4 weeks for season 2 to come out, and you can watch it. And I think that's probably the best way to watch it.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched, if you didn't already watch season 1, like, now's the time to watch it.
I have this question because I'll just throw this out right away. The big complaint everybody has, it seems unanimous from the folks I've talked to about this, is, well, the heroes are too in the background.
Okay.
We don't do enough with them. My question is, if you watch the 12 together, would it feel like that as much?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Especially because, so I wanted to rewatch the whole thing before we talked about it, because it's only 8 episodes. I only got to watch half of it.
I thought that's what you were watching last night. I heard a little bit. I thought that's what you were watching. Or was it not last night?
I don't think it was.
Oh, okay. You watched something with Castlevania music. I heard Castlevania music.
Oh, I was probably listening to. I've just been in Castlevania mood. I've been listening to like videos about the history of Castlevania and things like that.
Okay.
So that's what I was listening to. That was what I was going to sleep to last night. But
the show uses video game Castlevania music.
We get Blade Tears.
It makes it orchestral, but like it's great.
Yeah. No, we get Blade Tears, which is the big track.
At one point, we just looked at each other. We're like, I know this song.
Yeah.
I've heard this before.
Where was I going with this? So
Sorry.
in rewatching the first half,
Yeah.
because while we were watching it, I was like, so we just dumped the heroes in a library and just left them there?
Yeah, they're just there the whole time.
They don't get there till the end of episode 3.
Yeah. But it does feel like they're there a long time.
Yeah, but it's only 8 episodes, and they're very involved with episode 7 and 8. So that means that they're in that library at most 4 and 5.
But the reason it feels that way is because that's the middle.
Yeah. I also think there's more character stuff being set up in those episodes than I realized. I'm not...
Right. It's real... I mean, there's a lot of character stuff that they're talking about and
Simon gets... Sorry, not Simon. Trevor gets lost. I think a bit... And I also think part of the reason it feels that way is, like, he's not really instrumental in the conclusion. It becomes Alucard's story, Alucard and Dracula.
That's true.
I think that's part of why it feels that way with Trevor. But I don't...
But maybe it earns it a little bit, because then at the end it's like, you want to keep going on adventuring? Yeah, it's almost like we haven't really gotten his story so much as just, like, developing who he is, really.
Mm-hmm. So kind of right off the bat...
And certainly creating a chemistry with him and her.
Yes,
right?
Yes. And they are Simon's parents.
Oh, really?
I think.
Well, if that's true, because I didn't know if it was before or after. If that's true, because I don't know anything about Castlevania, if that's true, then eventually they could do a time jump.
Which is what I was expecting. I was expecting this season to end, and next season we would do Simon. There might be a kid in between. I can't remember. I think that Trevor is Simon's father. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but the lady villain, what's-her-face, is too much fun.
Carmilla.
They've got to do a whole season with her.
Well, but here's the thing. So, I guess not Hector. Hector and Isaac, I guess you have to pay off. But she's immortal. She's a vampire. You could time jump, and her machinations are finally coming to the fore.
Well, that's true.
Hector and Isaac are human, so you would have to deal with that. We will probably get... Well, and the guy who plays Trevor says that he's already recorded lines for Season 3, so...
Yeah.
Chances are, there will be at least one more season before time jump.
Well, they treated that like a Xena thing. Like, well, we got finished with this, let's keep walking through the forest and see if we run into things.
The producer has come out and said that they have a master plan, they have a timeline, because the big one obviously is Symphony of the Night, and he's like, well, Symphony of the Night's kind of way down the line. We do intend to get to it.
Wow.
Which would suggest time jumps, because that's after Simon, Richter's somewhere in there, and Richter's right before. Like, Richter would be involved. So, like, it's like 2 or 3 generations down the line before we can actually get to that. And then he said that he wants to do Soma Cruz, which is Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow, and that's set in, like, a near future.
Oh,
so, like,
cool.
that would mean... And there's some World War II stuff with... Because there's a point where the Belmont line gets cursed, and, like,
I didn't know we ever caught up to 20th century.
Oh, yeah. There's a thing at the turn of the century where there's, like, a huge war between the wizard people that the girl's part of and whatever the Belmont is in that. I can't remember what his name is. Something. He's cool. But, like, there's a big war with Dracula, and then we jump ahead, like, 10 more years. And that's... Because we never actually tell that story. It doesn't have a game. It's just all backstory for Aria of Sorrow.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, they could have a huge, like, multi-100-year spanning series.
It has this massive mythology I never knew about.
It would be weird if we spent, like, 3 seasons with Trevor, and then we do the Simon season, then we do the Richter season, then we do the Just season. Well, we won't do Just, but, like, you know,
we jump to 21st century.
Yeah, that would be weird. And then they'll do the one we'll do the ones with the Morrises, with Bloodlines and Porch of the Ruins, and, like, it would be weird to spend so much time with Trevor and then.
Well,
just
can I ask you the big
jumping.
ignorant question?
Mm-hmm.
Does Dracula come back from that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, because Dracula
does he disintegrate often?
They keep doing, like, resurrection spells.
Okay.
Dracula's like Spawn. He shows up every couple hundred years.
Yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know if he could come back from dusting.
Yeah, he must.
Okay.
And he hangs out with Death.
Okay, but that's what I was asking, because they treat that like a really definitive death, and it's a great death.
Mm-hmm. But, like, if we ever get to Simon has to fight Dracula. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, so no.
Well, I mean, you kill him in the games all the time.
Yeah, he dies in every game. And Soma's cool, because Soma, the big twist with Soma is you find out that he's the reincarnation of Dracula, and he could turn
I bet they do that whole thing. Yeah,
right?
That's cool.
It's also possible, because he said that things aren't going to be exactly like they are in the game.
Sure.
It's also possible we do Soma earlier, and we just move timeline stuff. Like it's possible that we stay, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start jumping times at some point. So immediately this season starts in Dracula's court, and Hector walks in. I'm like, I know that guy. He's from Curse of Darkness, and that's kind of a pseudo sequel to Dracula's Curse. And like, there's so much stuff in this, because at first I like because there's the portrait of Leon, and there's all that stuff in the library, and Warren Ellis doesn't have to be involved in any of that. That could all be animation stuff.
It could.
But there's a lot of plot stuff that makes me think that Warren Ellis like went and read everything. I don't believe the man has played a game, because he's talked about how he doesn't do video games. But like, it seems like he did his homework and was like pulling things that he did not need to pull and no one thought he would, kind of a thing. I never would have thought they were going to use Hector and Isaac. Like, that's... Like, it was a PS2 game, like, and was, like, reviewed okay, but, like, I don't think anybody expected to pull in elements of that. There's a lot of really cool stuff like
watching gameplay footage.
That's true. That's true. But, you know, I don't even know where really to start after we've already spent 11 minutes just me talking about the games.
Yeah, sure.
This season's about Dracula.
Yeah, and he's awesome, and he might be my favorite version of Dracula,
really
and
cool.
I mean, he's really cool. And I should be bored with his kind of one-note, you know, plot to kill all the humans, a revenge plot, but I'm not.
No, because it's really interesting.
It's a good revenge plot.
It's like psychologically interesting. Like, I like that we watch his generals like slowly be like, wait, is your plan to just kill everyone?
Yeah.
We'll die out too.
It's like, because he's Dracula, they don't question him for the longest time because he's never been out of his gourd like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just never occurs to them, wait, you want to kill everyone?
Mm-hmm. That's
not
going to work.
How are we going to eat? And all of that, and Dracula doesn't care.
Yeah.
Because he has a death wish. Like,
yeah.
he wants all the humans dead, and then that's
and
what...
he basically says, don't question me.
Well, I shouldn't even say death wish, he just doesn't care what happens to him. Mm-hmm. He's not even thinking about it. He probably starved to death. He's not even thinking about it.
There's a great point where someone's like, this is an elaborate suicide.
Oh, that's true. I guess maybe he sort of does, but
yeah. He wants revenge, and then he doesn't care what happens to him, and that's really interesting.
And it's also really interesting that he's using humans in that plot.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't decide if he's looking at them almost like different entities because they're so loyal to him.
Conversations he has with Hector lead me to believe that, like, maybe he's going to do, like, an Adam and Eve thing. Like, not two people, but that, like, he will leave a small group of humans alive, and the people that he has trained will be the ones that, like, bring humanity forward. It's not super explicit, but he says a couple things to Hector that make me think. Like, he talks about, like, he's like, when there's only a few of you left, you two will be the ones.
But that would be kind of counter to the idea that he doesn't care about the future. He's not thinking about the future.
Yeah, that's why I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Or he's just lying. Like, I don't know.
When you can never really tell.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I really like about him, is that he's, like, I don't know, he keeps his own counsel, and he's always got, he always seems to have everything figured out, but he's also in, like, this massive turmoil, so you can't be totally sure.
And a lot of it is interpretive on our part, because what's interesting is he never tells us.
Mm.
He just keeps telling his generals and stuff, like, trust me. He could have a master plan. It looks like he's just like he's trying to murder everyone and let himself die.
No, and with as much screen time as he gets, I would not call him like a dual protagonist as an antagonist, because we're not in his head at all. I mean, we're as walled off as everybody else is.
Mm-hmm. No, he's just this like
but he's fascinating
figure. Yeah. And his death is amazing.
It's amazing.
It's really powerful.
That whole kids room thing, like we made all these toys and like got me right there.
I'm killing my boy.
And can we just back off for a minute and say it was really exciting to finally get in the castle?
Yeah.
And the castle's great.
Yeah. No, the castle's fantastic.
And it teleports around, and that's cool.
Yeah. With the D20.
Yeah, that's right. There's this big D20 that
which I think is a save device in some of the games. Sometimes it's a chair, and I think sometimes it's that. But yeah. Dracula's just really, really interesting, and I agree that the heroes don't get as much focus as I maybe would have liked, but like I kind of don't care because kind of like Daredevil, where I'm like, yeah, but what the bad guys are doing is so interesting.
Yeah. And it was all about the politics and the machinations and the backstabbing and the...
If I have a criticism of this season,
Yeah.
if I have to have a criticism, if I have to have a best thing, worst thing,
You
kind
do.
of thing.
You do. That's how we do things here.
My worst...
15 minutes in.
My worst thing is definitely that we kill Godbrand.
I thought you were going to say... That's exactly what I thought you were going to say. And so much happens in the 4 episodes after that, I forgot all about him. And he was my favorite character before that, because he's hilarious.
I'm a Viking!
He has
I make boats! That's
whole
what we
that
do!
thing about making boats out of people.
Which we
and...
never get to see.
No, and you were like, oh, he's going to do that. And then he dies. And, like, in the scene where he dies, I was like, you think they'll kill him? It's okay, he's dead!
No, what's great is we give Dracula these generals, and they're also all interesting. I think Carmilla's fascinating.
She is.
I love her whole thing about the man that made her, like offered her the world, and then she realized he was just a crazy old man, and she murdered him. She's like, I would never be under the whims of a crazy old man again. He's like, and then she's like,
and then
she's
she
like,
is.
And then I come to Dracula, the greatest of our people, and I find a crazy old man. That all of that stuff is interesting. Obviously,
Everybody has real motivations.
Yeah.
For what they're doing.
Isaac's.
Is it
Isaac's
Is it Isaac
He's the whipping guy.
Whips himself? Yeah. Man.
And his backstory is just like gut-wrenching and horrifying.
It's his backstory.
Yeah, ha 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 ha. I did question, like, I know the whipping yourself is
he no longer believes in love as a concept.
I get the whipping yourself is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a thing. Where like it centers you and like whatever, right?
Yeah, and that's how he remains disciplined and...
But that's the thing in the real world.
Right.
His is leather with spikes, and I
know.
look at the wound on his back, I'm like, okay, that's gonna hurt tomorrow when you're fighting, right? Nope, it doesn't slow him down at all.
He doesn't feel pain, it seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't even wince when he does it to himself.
Nope, he's just sitting there. He's fascinating as a character. Hector is actually the weak link, I think, of the characters, though, the white-haired guy. He's there to kind of get moved around and be unsure and get screwed over by Carmilla. His ending is not...
I honestly forgot about him until you brought him up again, yeah.
Well, he's the one at the end who, like, Carmilla just keeps lying to, and she's like, oh yeah, I want to help you, and then she's like, oh, by the way, you're implicated now, so you have to... You won't tell Dracula, and I don't care about you, you're not equal. And then they have the same conversation at the end, and I feel so bad because he's so dumb. When we're setting up kind of like... Because the last episode's kind of old, like Season 2 setup, kind of.
Is the whipping thing like Kylo Ren at the end of Force Awakens? Where he's like hitting his wound?
Maybe.
Like a little bit?
Maybe. I'm not sure if they're thinking about that with Kylo Ren, but like... I know the whipping thing is a thing.
Yeah.
And then Godbrand is the last gen one. He's great. And he's there for, I guess, exactly as long as he needs to be.
Yeah, no, that's true.
He was just so much fun.
It was a good death scene.
Yep.
I make boats.
I'm a Viking! We like boats! No, he's so much fun. And I really like that last episode. Like, it almost goes on too long, but then it doesn't.
You're like, it's got the Lord of the Rings thing, but I don't think ultimately it does.
It's because we keep cutting to black.
We keep fading to black.
Yeah, which, again, would be fine. My issue with the fading to black is that if it was the last scene for each of these characters, I wouldn't mind it.
It seems arbitrary.
Yeah, because we do it with Trevor, and then we come back to Trevor and we do it again, and then I mean the last shot with Alucard is phenomenal. The just the weight of everything that's happened and what he's done, and that like
I was surprised to find that last episode kind of necessary. Like I'm kind of glad that. At first, I was like, "This should all be at the beginning of the next season," but it shouldn't.
No, it's
because
epilogue.
I want to know. Yeah, and I wasn't expecting an epilogue. We got to the end of 6, and I was like, "How do you wrap? Like, you don't need 2 episodes."
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't. They're using that last episode to set up their next season. If you didn't do that, you wouldn't even know if Carmilla's necessarily alive.
Yeah,
and
because we both were like, "Did we miss when she died?"
Yeah. And that she was going to come back and do things, and you could do it in like a quick coda or something. But I'm glad that we kind of establish where everybody is and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think ultimately that works really well.
Yeah. No, and it leaves itself in a really interesting place for a third season.
I guess it wouldn't have been a good start for the next season anyway, because it would just weirdly it would have felt like an abrupt ending. Like the more I'm thinking about it, it needed to be that long because you've got to have.
It would just be killing Dracula credits.
Yeah, and you've got to have Trevor.
It's the denouement.
Yeah, and like we open slow. You kind of need to close that way.
Yeah.
So that Trevor's like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna keep
if you look,
exploring and helping people. And
if you look at those 12 episodes, it's interesting that we open the first episode is almost entirely Dracula, and the last episode is entirely without him.
No, I didn't think of that.
There might be a thing with that.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Well, and a lot of that first episode is flashback, and we end with an epilogue, so you got a prologue-epilogue thing going on.
Yeah. But no, it's
Why is Matt Frewer's name in every episode?
I don't know.
He's not in any of them except for the first one, as far as we can tell. Is he some other character?
No, I don't think so. No, because it looks up he's credited just as
the bishop,
priest or whatever. Yeah, the bishop. So I'm pretty sure Godbrand is Peter Stormare. I'm pretty sure that's the name.
Okay. I saw his name, but I wasn't sure who he was.
I'm pretty sure he's Godbrand. He's also credited in every episode.
Yeah. Why did they do that?
I don't know.
It's not a movie.
Also, if your opening credits are 5 seconds, you don't need to give me the option to skip it.
Right.
I don't need that.
I would have been okay with that show continuing to have an intro.
Me too. And episode 1 does.
It's a good intro.
I realized that when I rewatched it. The first episode has a full intro, or has its full intro,
right.
And then all of the episodes afterwards for season 2 don't.
Right.
But no, it's a good intro. I loved it. I'm excited because season 3 is going to be 10 episodes. Because all I want is more. But not in the same way as season 1 where I was like, well, I didn't get the whole meal. I got a whole meal. I'm just excited for another one.
Yeah, 10's not going to end on that kind of a cliffhanger.
No.
10 will be a story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 3, but 10 episodes, that'll be a story.
Yeah. No, so I'm super excited. I'm really happy with what we got. I think it's fantastic.
It's really good. I was also impressed that human bodies seem to stay together better.
That's true.
In
That's
the second
true.
season.
They do.
First season, you just look at people and their limbs fall off. That didn't seem to happen as much. It's
Trevor wasn't whipping
brutal.
people as much, though.
Did you feel like it was about on par, like the same amount of brutality?
I felt like it was less concentrated.
It seemed less, I don't want to say gratuitous, but it wasn't like blood everywhere in the same way. Like,
no, but we got a lot of it.
We did.
But it's. I think it just feels more concentrated in the first one. Like, the first one felt like it had something to prove, and the second one used it where it was necessary.
Yeah.
Because we get some horrific stuff.
Was just confident, like
when Isaac takes out that guy's eyes.
Oh my god! But it was just like, people trust us. We can just make our story now.
So no, I loved it. I thought it was great.
I'm glad it's popular. I'm glad it's going to continue, and
Me too.
it's already been renewed. So
they renewed it on Halloween, which was probably intentional.
You'll get at least one more.
I will get at least one more,
but I think you'll get 2 or 3.
It could just keep going.
It could.
It also, even though season 1 wasn't like really a season, it beats Netflix curse of like season 2 always being like a large step down. This is the better of the 2 seasons if you have to look at them as separate pieces.
That's true, but I think that's kind of a cheat, really.
Sure. Well, we'll see what season 3 is like. I mean, and season 3 appears to also be entirely written by Warren Ellis, so it also really helps to have one guy write all of it.
Yeah.
And I guess season 3 will be the first season where like there's enough episodes where like maybe you would want someone else, but like 8 20-minute episodes, like 20 to 30-minute episodes, like you can write that.
Is there a chance we could have an entire season in a castle?
Yes.
Is that possible?
Maybe.
Because that would be really cool.
That would be cool. How could I just hang out in Dracula's castle?
I want like an Arkham Asylum movie where just the entire thing happens inside a castle, inside one building.
Most of the games happen in the castles. Like I feel like you could do a season like that, no problem.
Do that. Now, to be fair, sometimes you'll be like around the like outside and stuff. Like you'll start like right outside the grounds, and then you're like.
Well, you usually go across like the moat.
The moat.
Yeah, that's usually the opening of a
I was playing Super Castlevania the other day, which I've never played. Because I got a...
Super Castlevania 4!
Right, because I got a Super NES Mini, and I'd never played Castlevania before. Well, I tried it at one point, and I thought it was too hard. And then I started playing it the other day, and I was like, no, I can do
Super
this.
specifically?
Yeah. Well, it was the only one I ever tried.
You know what?
I bought it from Tim Lyons once, and I never tried the NES ones.
I also played it once when I was like 13, 14, and also thought it was like ridiculous. Because I played Layman of Innocence at that point, which is where Leon comes from.
It's tough, but I'm like... most of the way through the 3rd level, and I'm not having too much of a tough time with it so far.
I mean, I also wasn't good at video games.
Yeah.
I'm still not good at video games. Good at Castlevania, though. The Metroidvania. I'm good at that.
I mean, the controls are a little stiff.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta get kind of used to how the jumps work, and how you hang in midair as you jump across. You, like, jump, and it's like... and then you drop.
I think that's a hangover from the first one.
Okay.
I think that's how the controls work in the first one. Like, it's a remake of the first one, so it's...
I need a Castlevania game that controls like Sonic. That's what I really need. Where I can just... Where I can just jump around more. That would be great.
I mean... You should try Symphony of the Night. You can jump around more. And you can play Alucard. You can turn the bats and stuff.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I was playing that game, and at one point, I think I'm in the castle. But nope, I'm still, like, going across a wall outside the castle, and, like, I thought I was inside, and then I'm, like, jumping around on some, like, stalagmites and things.
If this runs long enough, eventually maybe you'll get to see that game made into a season.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm gonna try to start playing those some.
I mean, I swear by the DS ones. And you have a DS.
So I can get those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that's Castlevania. We is feeling it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Okay, I'm going to talk really briefly, just a little bit, about a request, Eric. I got a request from Vacuuminator. He asked me to watch an animated French-made series.
Oh, I think I know what this is.
This is Code Lyoko.
Oh, no, that's not what I thought.
Code Lyoko.
I was going to that, like, Walk Fu thing.
Have you ever heard of this?
It's CGI, right?
It's partially CGI.
Okay, it ran on Toonami as I'm leaving.
Did it?
Toonami.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if it ever aired here.
Yeah, that's kind of when I'm stopping watching Toonami.
Yeah.
And also what everyone compared the reboot remake to.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, Code Lyoko...
The reboot
is a thing that started in 2003, and it went for a little while. I don't know how many seasons it went, but 2 or 3, and it had a prequel movie. No, it went longer than 2. It went at least 3. I was reading about this earlier.
I remember the designs being really ugly on the characters. Like, they have, like, huge heads.
I'm not in love with the animation and the character designs, certainly, but I don't want to start with negatives.
Well, I've never seen it. I'm just saying, this is 3
This
seasons. Is the only thing I know about that show is that the characters have really big heads.
It's 4 seasons, so 97 episodes. So
I don't think all of that airs on Toonami.
So Vacuuminator asked me to watch the prequel movie called Xana Awakens, which effectively watches like a pilot, and sets everything up for that series. And it's crazy watching it because it feels like the pilot, like the first episode. It's really weird to imagine that I like watching episodes of that show without having that and like seeing where it started. It just doesn't. It strikes me as the kind of thing where you would need the premise like given you in an origin. It kind of felt like it needed an origin story. It's really weird that it doesn't have that. So I appreciated that Vac asked me to do that. Instead of starting with the first episode, because I might have been lost. I don't know. But the premise is there's this kind of nerdy kid that and by the way, it's a French-made show, but it doesn't feel like it's in France. I don't know where it is. It feels really ambiguous, like where it's happening. The only thing that makes me think it's like nobody really has an accent, and everybody's and like it's a real diverse cast. It feels like it could be anywhere. But the only thing that makes it feel like it's maybe not America is that the school they're in has, unless it's a prep school, the school it feels like a high school thing. They don't seem like college kids. They seem like junior high or high school kids. But they live in dorms. They don't live with their parents. They live in dorms. So I'm like, where is this? But anyway, so this kind of nerdy kid finds this like abandoned, I don't know, power plant or something, and he discovers this computer that's linked to a virtual world. He just turns it on and he finds what he thinks is maybe a video game, and it turns out that it's this virtual world that you can like digitize yourself and go into this world, whether it's a video game or not, and we're not sure at first what it is. And there's this sort of like transporter thing that you get into, and then it puts you in this world, and
so you physically go there.
You physically go there. It's not an avatar thing. You go there, and then you manifest inside the game as not what you most would want to be, but how the world, the virtual world, the program, like I guess interprets like who you are. like really, and we do some kind of cool identity stuff with that. So you have different characters that are like he has like a group of friends that they put together during the course of the episode, and again or I guess of the movie. It's a 2-part movie, and I guess because. Like, again, it's a prequel, so you're supposed to already know these characters. This is how we finally found out how they met, yeah. And some of them really like what they turn into when they go there. Like, there's this Japanese girl who everybody keeps thinking is Chinese. Everyone's racist. Everyone like, you're Chinese. I'm Japanese. And she goes when she goes there, she just kind of typically turns into like a ninja chick.
Oh.
And but she's doing martial arts all the time.
So the computer is racist.
Yeah, but she's doing martial arts all the time.
Okay.
And so I guess it worked, but it felt like kind of a racial stereotype at first.
When they're not in the digital world, is it regular animation or is it people?
So it's 2D animation, and then when they go in the virtual world, it's 3D animation. And for 03, I guess this would have been 05, 06. It looks pretty good.
Okay.
I like the 3D animation stuff more than the 2D.
Okay.
Just because I don't care for the style that much. It's real jagged faces. It's a lot like that, like Men in Black style.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very early 2000s.
I think they might have made that.
Okay. That would make a lot of sense because, like, I know it's in France, but it looks like a lot of things I saw at that time. Jackie Chan Adventures, that kind of thing.
They did make that.
It's got a real like colorless look to it. Like the color scheme is real muted and it's not super detailed. The animation is good. I just don't love the style.
Mm.
It's real drab. But the 3D animation is about as good as you could expect it to be at that point.
LDB.
One thing that kept distracting me is if you're a 2D animated person and you see yourself in 3D animation, your mind should be completely blown. You're seeing a whole new dimension. I was really distracted by that. I was like, no, 2D to 3D, you shouldn't even be able to compute it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wait a minute. Like, imagine we're in 3 dimensions, but we see the 4th dimension. Your mind would be blown. But anyway, so there's this kind of irritating kid, and he's supposed to be irritating, named Odd, because of course his name is Odd. And when he goes there, he turns into this weird like cat guy, where like he's a regular humanoid person, but he's wearing like a cat suit with like these weird like cat hands. He's really strange looking, and he complains about it, and he's like, I look dumb. Like, why do I have this whole thing? And I wanted to be whatever it is. I forget what he says, but like they make a big deal out of you don't turn into what you wish you were. You turn into like kind of the way you really see yourself. And
that sounds dangerous.
That's a weird,
I don't want to go there.
That's a weird complaint I have when he comes back out. As they're getting used to this idea of there's this virtual world we can enter, he seems to start to really come around on the cat thing to the point of like he references it and he makes like sounds like a cat at one point, and then when he goes back in it, he starts complaining about it again. And I'm like, I thought you were starting to get weird. Cool with this. Yeah, it's weird. So there's this virtual girl who's in that world named Maya. Later on, we find out what her real name is. The guy, the nerdy kid, just names her that, and that's what she's called for 2 episodes. And I guess, again, if you've watched the show and you go back, you're like, haha, that's not actually her name, but that's what I knew her for 2 episodes. And she ends up being the reason that they don't shut the place down when they find out that there's like an evil program that wants to manifest itself in the real world and take over the world. So the stakes are something bad from in there, and that's what Xana is. It is weird watching it not knowing the rest of the show, because like you just know what Xana is, or Xana, I guess how you pronounce it. You know what Xana is if you've been watching that show, but I didn't, because I haven't seen it. So I kept wondering what the world Xana is. It's not mentioned until the last 2 minutes. Like, Xana's gonna awaken at some point. I'm just waiting for Xana to awaken. And then we find out that that's the evil AI. And it sends out, like, this... electro bolt thing, so that like shocks people, and like electric monster thing that goes around shocking people, and we find out that it can send things out. And so at first I wondered what the stakes were, because they go in and they immediately start getting attacked by alien things, and when they get killed in the virtual world, they just manifest back in the transporter, like just fine as regular people. I'm like, okay, so it's not a virtual world where you can die in it. So like, what are the stakes? And so it turns out that the stakes are like bad things can come from there, and so that's what we're trying to avoid. And the main reason they don't just pull the plug on it is because this Maya character, they see as a kind of a real person. Like she's an AI, but they seem to think, and I don't get enough time with her. That's another problem I have with it, where they start to get, especially the nerdy kid, starts to get kind of attached to her, but she doesn't get hardly any screen time, and she talks like a computer, and I don't see what the evidence is that she's anything but a computer program. But they think it might be possible to manifest her in the real world, and they don't want to pull the plug so that she's effectively dead, so they leave it on. So the whole thing is like keeping her alive versus trying to stop this Xana thing from coming out, which is a cool idea, but I just don't spend any time with her. But then if I've been watching the show, maybe I care about her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's weird to watch it in that order, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I see why that had me do that. Then there's a weird thing at the end. I'm just going to spoil this. There's a weird thing at the end that I think is time travel, but I wasn't totally sure what was going on. Where they seem to somehow, with this thing, roll time backwards is the way they're... It seems like that's what they're talking about, but I'm not sure how they did it. I might have missed something. But at the end of the episode, the three kids that went in all remember everything that happened, even though I guess time has been rolled back, but the nerdy kid doesn't. So we went through 2 episodes, and he was the catalyst for everything, and he just has amnesia at the end. Or not amnesia, but he doesn't know anything that happened and has to be caught back up to speed.
Which is probably what happens in the first episode.
And that's their
right?
prequel, I guess. Unless they just never bring it up. I don't know. That was very strange. The end of that was weird. I think my kids would like it a lot.
Okay.
Like, it's not a thing that I'm immediately dying to see more of, but I enjoyed it. The animation's a turn-off.
Both sides?
I mean, mostly the 2D. Like, I would probably almost like enjoy it more if somehow it was all 3D like that. But that's kind of a cool novelty. It's a cool gimmick. That you have a show that's part 2D and part 3D.
Especially at that time. And
it seems like that's why they came up with that concept, was to kind of jump back and forth. Yeah.
Cool.
But I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. Yeah. So we're gonna sign on that. That's going to do it for Primetime Crisis. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Eric and I are going to now move on to He Made Me Watch, and then we'll do the news right after that. I made Eric watch the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, the original film. He had never seen that, somehow or rather. So I went ahead and finally showed it to him. So we'll hear what Eric thinks about the Buffy movie. And if you want to watch that, keep the playlist rolling if you're watching this on the Omnibus playlist. And in the meantime, thanks a lot for watching this video. Looking forward to reading your comments. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you later, folks.